right, take a moment to write down your 3 warm-up problems. Pause here. Solve the warm-up problems. Okay, you're solving for the variable. All right, so pause here and solve and then come back. Okay, so now that you've solved, let's write down a quick vocab word. So Miss Wesley used the word variable. And you might remember that variable, okay, stands for a letter. Okay, it's a letter that stands for a number. So like X is the variable, W is a variable, S is a variable. So again, it's a letter that stands for a number, that it represents a number, and usually it's an unknown. Okay, so we use X a lot as a variable, okay? So our job for the warm-up today was to solve for the variable. So number 1, we said what number plus 5 equals 27? And most of you are like, oh, I know that 22. Okay, 22 plus 5 equals 27. So you're gonna say X equals 22, which is correct, but I wanna show you the actual way to do this in case it's one you can't do in your head. So we have X plus 5 equals 27. Now to solve this algebraically, our goal is to get X by itself, to get it alone, to find out what it is. So step 1, okay, is your goal, okay, which is to get the variable alone, okay, by itself. That's your first step. Get it by itself. So how do we do that? You do that by doing step 2, okay, which is do the opposite operation. So we think, what's the opposite of hot? Cold. What's the opposite of light? Dark. Okay, so what is the opposite of addition? The opposite is subtraction. What is the opposite of subtraction? It's addition. And what's the opposite operation of multiplication? Division. And what's the opposite of division? Multiplication. Okay, so our goal is to get X by itself, and we're going to do that by doing the opposite operation. Okay, so here this says the operation says addition, so plus 5. So I'm going to do the opposite, which is subtract 5. And you have to do it to both sides of the equal sign. Okay, do it to both sides of the equal sign. 5, take away 5 is 0, and that's the whole purpose of doing the opposite, is to get rid of this number. So on this side of the equal sign, all I have left is my variable, which is X. And now I do 27, take away 5, which is 22. Okay, X equals 22. So we're going to apply step 1 and 2 also to the second warm-up question. So we've got 4W, W is the variable, equals 20. Now when we have a number next to a letter, okay, we say that means to multiply. Okay, and when that plain number that's in front of the variable is called the constant. So it doesn't hurt to write that down, because that could be a bonus question. The constant is the whole number, the solid number, fraction decimal that's in front of the W. So we said when a number is next to a variable, next to a letter, it means multiply. So we've got 4 times W equals 20. Well, what's the step 2? Do the opposite operation. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by 4, divide by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, okay? So this just makes it W, because a single W is just W, 1W, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. So we know that W equals 5. Always put W equals in circle, okay? So again, you could have done that one in your head, 4 times 5 is 20. But again, I want to show you the steps, because when you get to problem number 3, that's not one we can do in our head. There's not a whole number that when you multiply 7 by it, you get 34. So for number 3, 7S equals 34. So remember, the constants next to the variable, next to the letter, means multiply. Opposite of multiply is divide. So divide by 7, divide by 7. So we have S equals 34 sevenths, or you could change it into a mixed number. How many 7s can I take out of there? Well, 7, 14, 21, 28. Okay, so that's 4 whole. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. So that's 6 left over. And the denominator is 7. So it's 34 sevenths or 4 and 6 sevenths. Okay. You also could have done it as a decimal, and I think it would have came out to 4.68, I think is how it would have rounded. Now, let's do one more example for your warm-up. What if you have a problem like f over 8 equals 43? Again, that's not one I can do in my head, so we follow the steps, okay? Step 2, do the opposite operation. Well, this means division right here. So I'm going to multiply by 8 on both sides, okay? And this one, when we multiply it, we're going to get just f, but the reason why is because 8 times f over 8 gives me 8f over 8, and 8 over 8 is 1, so that's why it's just f. And then 43 times 8 is 344, okay? Now you can always check that by putting 344 back in, so you could write check and do 344 divided by 8 equals 43, and if you do that on your calculator, you find out, yes, that works, okay? So now we're going to try a couple on our own. I don't want anyone to freak out about these, okay? They're 7th grade level, but I want you to use the same step. Step 1, step 2, I want you to try these 4 problems, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you might even want to cut your paper into fourths to write these 4 problems if you would like. So we're going to have c minus 12 equals negative 4, k plus 8.4 equals 6.3, negative 2/5 p equals negative 6, and t divided by 3 equals negative 4. So after you solve these 4, I want you to come check with Miss Wesley.